Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another episode of my series called My Top Rated Products, and today the focus is going to be concealers. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to show you 3 high-end products and 3 drugstore products, and then I'm going to talk about the amount of coverage that these concealers give and if I use them more to highlight or more to conceal. So the first product that I want to talk about is the Marc Jacobs Concealer, and this is in the shade 3 Young. So this concealer just looks like this. It is a cream-based concealer, and I like to use this particular concealer on days that I don't really feel like putting on foundation, but I do want to cover up my dark under eye circles and maybe a blemish here and there or some redness. This is great because it blends out a little bit better than a liquid concealer, because I feel like that can end up being a little bit drying, whereas this kind of blends into your natural skin and looks like skin. I don't know if you understand exactly what I'm trying to get at, but if you understand me, then you know. I also like to use this concealer to carve out my brows. I just find that it's much easier to work with, and I like to use it also as a eyeshadow base. The next concealer I want to talk about will always be a favorite of mine, but I don't reach for it as often these days, but it is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. Now I have mine in the shade NW20, so this is a little bit more of a pink undertone, and it is very light compared to my foundation. So if I use this concealer, I mostly like to use it to really give a nice bright and white highlight, really giving you that Kim Kardashian highlight effect. So that's what I like to use this concealer for. It's very high coverage, which is great, but it doesn't crease and it doesn't really fade throughout the day. It does a very good job of staying put. It also does a great job of hiding any dark under eye circles, which is absolutely amazing. I would use this to just, conceal and not do so much of a brightening thing if it was a darker shade, but this on me is a very bright highlighting concealer. The next concealer I want to talk about has become very, very popular recently, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. Now I have this in 2 shades. I have one that is just 1 shade lighter than my foundation, and I have one that is a couple shades lighter. So I like to use this one when I'm really not looking for such a bright under eye highlight. This is in the shade Medium Light Neutral, so I use this just to kind of conceal, not doing too much highlighting, and then I use my other one to really brighten up the under eye area. So everything about this concealer is amazing. It is very high coverage, it covers everything, but it's not heavy looking and it's not drying. I find that some concealers can end up being very drying on me, and it really gets dry and cracky and settles into my fine lines. I do not have that problem with this concealer. It also sets beautifully with whatever powder I put on top, and it stays put. So this concealer I completely, totally recommend, and it's very much worth the price. Okay, so now moving on to drugstore concealers. I have 3 of them, and the first one that I want to talk about is the first drugstore concealer that I ever got, and that is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I love this concealer because it is very lightweight. I also reach for this one, like my Marc Jacobs one, on days that I don't feel like doing a full face of foundation and I just need to cover up my problem areas. I don't feel like it does the best job of covering dark under eye circles that well. I mean, it does the job, but it's not amazing because the formula is much lighter. I do like this concealer specifically to highlight my highlight areas, not so much to conceal. I do like to mix this in with other concealers, but it is a great alternative to high-end concealers. Like, before I got my high-end concealers, I was perfectly content with this one. It didn't give me the biggest problem. It was great, it was fine, it did the job. But once I kind of like dipped my toes in the water of high-end concealers, those are the ones that I reach for, just because they do way more than just the couple things that this one does. Like, this one does crease on me a little bit, it does fade a little bit throughout the day, but it is still a good concealer. Moving on, the next one I want to talk about is the NYX HD Concealer. When I originally got this, it was hard for me to find a color that worked for what I wanted it to do. The first one that I got was way too light for me, and then the next one that I got was way too dark. It kind of has like a weird color selection with like the names, but I have shade CW05, and this one is pretty chilling, but the only thing that I will say about it is that it is pretty darn drying. So this is a good concealer if you have oily skin, I'm gonna say, not so much dry skin. So I want to say that this formula is better for those of you who have more oily skin because it is a bit of a drier formula, and the Maybelline Fit Me concealer is better for those of you who have dry skin like me because it is a bit more of a moisturizing formula. But this also isn't like super full coverage, it's like medium coverage on the under eye area. But this Hard Candy Glamoflouge concealer is super heavy duty, super high coverage. You literally need the smallest amount to cover both of your eyes and pretty much your entire face. Like if I was gonna use this as foundation, let's just say, this little tube would probably last me 3 years, even if I was doing my foundation with this every single day, because the tiniest amount covers up so much. So I like to mix this concealer in with something a little bit more weight like this, just to give a little bit more something if I'm feeling like my under eye area is super dark that day. I don't like to use this to do the whole like triangle highlight thing. I don't put it on my chin or my forehead or my nose. This is strictly for the under eye area when my eyes are super dark and they need something that's really gonna pack some coverage on those dark circles. And then if I have a pimple that's like super intense, I will take this, mix it in with a little bit of a green concealer and put it underneath my foundation, because it really locks in the coverage of those pimples and the redness doesn't peek throughout the day. So those are my top 6 picks of concealers, my 3 Highend, my 3 Drugstore. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any suggestions for me, because I am always on the hunt for new concealers, because I love concealers. Foundations and concealers and bronzers are like my thing. And now I'm sort of getting into blushes. But like, those are my 3 things. So if you guys have any suggestions for me or for anybody else, leave them in the comment section below so that we can all check them out. If you guys liked this video or found it helpful, then please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in next month's episode of this series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.